Hey guys, what's going on? Update video on the 86 F250. We have an engine in the truck and just got this thing put back together. I don't remember if I said it in the last video where I introduced the truck. I don't remember if I had a video or a replacement engine, but this is not the engine that was in the truck. The engine that was in the truck is sitting in the garage. This is a 1994 to 97 351 Windsor. Kind of interesting. It was, the marketplace listing for it said it was an 89, and the valve covers had a 89 sticker on it. It has the 89 serpentine setup. It was a fuel injected intake. And getting the intake off, it has a flat tappet camshaft in it, but I noticed it has the threaded holes for the roller rocker spider keeper. So I ran the engine date code on the actual block, and it came back to a 94 to 97. So this is a roller motor 351 that someone at some point put a flat tappet camshaft in it, and it had a mechanical fuel pump eccentric, but then someone later put all of the fuel injected components on it, because it had the fuel injection only timing chain cover, so there's no boss for the mechanical pump. So what I did was tore the intake heads off, oil pan, and did just a refresh. I changed the oil pump, cleaned up the oil pan, new gaskets for everything. I have a Wyand Stealth 4-barrel intake on it. I did a HEI distributor to get rid of the stupid Duraspark box that these Fords are notorious for having bad ignition boxes and overcomplicated BS. So I went from like 11 wires or whatever down to just one for the power for the distributor, which is very easy to do on this 86. The wire that was sending power to the stock coil has 12 volts during key on and engine cranking. So all I had to do was hook that wire up to the distributor and I was good to go. But I got a Jegs timing chain cover that works with the reverse flow water pumps, which is what I wanted, because that would help it work with the serpentine setup that I wanted to keep, but also let me run a mechanical fuel pump. And I took, actually the heads are off of the 86, because when I was taking the intake off of the stock heads, 2 of the bolts snapped, and they're a pain in the butt to deal with on these Fords because they go straight up. So one side of the bolt you'll have a lot of access to, and the other side you won't. And I knew I was going to change the head gaskets anyway, so all the bolts came out of the stock intake on the 86 motor. So took the heads off, took the valves out, cleaned the valves, new valve seals, all that stuff, reassembled the engine, new manifolds, and it went okay. I had a couple, adaptation challenges along the way. I did the fuel pump, and I took the oil pressure sender and temp sender from the 86, and both of those actually do fit with the 89 serpentine setup. I do think I had to grind a couple of the casting nubs down there. I just had to knock them down a little bit, but otherwise They clear the fuel pump and the oil pressure sending unit just fine. And the 89 alternator plugged right into the 86 wiring. They had the same plugs, charges fine. So got it in, got everything hooked back up, and it's running great until today. I was driving it to my storage unit to throw some spare parts, get it out of the garage, and about 5-10 minutes after leaving my house, I heard a tapping noise, which at first I thought was an exhaust leak, but when I got to the storage unit, it was definitely not an exhaust leak, and it was coming from the front of the engine. I used some extensions in my ear as like a stethoscope, and it wasn't the rockers or anything. So I had it narrowed down to the water pump, the crank, or the fuel pump, or the distributor. So got home, took the belt off, and still made the noise. But I took the fuel pump off and immediately found my problem. When I was putting the engine together, I put a new fuel pump eccentric in it. Got it off eBay. Seemed like a quality product, seemed like quality metal. However, this is what I pulled out of the timing chain cover. So clearly the metal they used is not hardened, or whatever, is not the right metal, or is not strong enough to hold up to the mechanical fuel pump. So very frustrating. I was wiping out the boss there that the fuel pump sits in, and there's a lot of silver metal paste. I used a magnet to kind of grab the piece at first, and the magnet had a bunch of metal furries on it. So definitely a little heartbreaking. At this point, it's probably the eccentric was probably eating itself up from the first startup. So at this point, the oil on the dipstick looks fine. So I'm hoping the oil filter caught a lot of it. But, I'm looking at one of two options. I could just slap on a fuel pump block off plate and run an electric fuel pump, which is what I was going to do, and I have the electric fuel pump. Because when I was first putting this engine together, my initial plan was to just change the intakes and throw the engine in and just run an electric fuel pump. So I have that, but my first option is to just put a block off plate on it, obviously change the oil and filter immediately, because at this point, the metal's already in the oil, and it is what it is. Or option two is I can go through and pull everything back off the front of the engine, get the timing chain cover off, and see what's going on, assess the situation, and try to flush, rinse any of the remaining goop that might be down there into the oil pan and drain it out. But, at this point, the metal's going through the engine. So, it sucks. I definitely wish that I would have just ran the electric pump from the get-go, but oh well. Or taking the timing chain cover off the stock engine and taking that eccentric out, because that one was obviously running a mechanical fuel pump for a good long while. So yeah, that's the state of things. Otherwise, the rest of the truck went back together. I did have a bit of a nightmare getting the core support back on. It wasn't an issue before, but I had the core support off. When I went to put it back on, this corner was sitting up too high, and the fenders weren't lining up right. The hood wasn't shutting right. So I wound up having to change the core support mounts. And the ones that were here, this side had like a thick metal spacer, whereas that side didn't. So I don't know what was going on. My only thought could be that at some point the front end was off of this, and as one unit, so the core support and the fenders bolted together and just unbolted from the body, and then they just put it back on and somehow it worked, but not this time. So, but I got that done. I got new horns put in, just some quote-unquote loud horns off of eBay, just because I only had one horn now. The other horn that was under the bumper I didn't put back in, but even when they were both in there, they were very weak sounding. So, but, and unfortunately, with this Y-end intake, the carburetor sits up just a little bit higher, so I couldn't run my stock air filter. So I just got this, I think it's off Summit. It's a 14-inch air cleaner, but it has a port. I hooked it up for the PCV. So other than this, this engine runs great. I can tell it's got a little bit of a cam in it. It has good power, runs great, drives great. When I had it out, I found out that transmission has been replaced and rebuilt at one point. Not recently, but the fluid's good in it. So, it's back together. It'll get back on the road again shortly. Again, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna block it off, change the oil, and it is what it is. What can you do? Realistically, the right thing to do would be tear this engine completely all the way down and completely rebuild it, and that's definitely not something I'm going to do. And I don't want this thing to be, down and out of commission any longer than it needs to be, so there's no real benefit of pulling the timing chain cover compared to just, changing the oil. So, block off plate, electric fuel pump setup, and change the oil and filter. And I'll change the oil. I'll probably run the engine, maybe another 1,000 miles, and or maybe 500 to 1,000, and I'll change the oil again, and that'll be the flush. So yeah, definitely not what I was hoping to happen. I really wanted to just have this thing back on the road and just use it for a while. And like I said in my last video, yeah, the engine's back together, but you know that the truck still needs other work. You know, it needs brakes. You know, the brakes are still, we got to pump them a couple times. It's not sketchy, as long as you know, hey, I can't be tailgating someone and then expect to slam on the brakes and stop right away. So, yeah, definitely not the best. Otherwise, in here, I don't know if I showed it in the last video, but I have a retro sound radio that I put in there. I cannot recommend that enough. That is a great radio. The couple days that I got to cruise around in this thing, it connects to my phone right away. It doesn't have any issues playing music off my phone. It doesn't have any issues with the radio. So a good thumbs up investment. So yeah, definitely a little down, but hey, the last time my whole engine blew up and it only took me a month and a half to get it back on the road. So all I got to do is just wait for all of this wet to dry up. So, and my plan for the fuel is I'll probably keep the factory line here. I'll probably cut it right before it does the 180 and use that to connect to the feed. And then I have a Jeep fuel filter that has a built-in return nipple, and I'll just run that back to the stock return line. So yeah, guys, I'll catch you later.